Sometimes storms come to align our lives with God's will. And here's what I mean by that. There's an unnamed guy in this passage. He's just called Publius's father. And there are a bunch of sick. It doesn't say who their names are, and it doesn't say how many, that God wanted to heal and God wanted to minister to. Paul was on his way from Caesarea to Rome. And God is going to divert his path because God's got some things he wants to do. And it, to me, just speaks of this divine appointment for this man and the rest of the sick on this island that God has a heart for. Now, hear me on this. Paul hasn't done anything wrong to miss the will of God or to be out of the will of God. What God wanted was for Paul to get to Rome. Back in chapter 19, that was God's will for him, and he's on his way there. And the angel reminded him again before the boat wrecked that you're on a divine mission, you're going to testify before Caesar. That was all part of God's plan for him to witness and testify before Caesar as well. So Paul's not out of the will of God, and Paul's not doing anything wrong, and there's not sin in his life, but God is going to sometimes cause a storm in our lives to redirect us because there's some other divine purpose or plan that God has for us. Don't look at every storm as being this terrible thing. I know that's our tendency, and I'm not trying to downplay it. And if you're going through a storm right now, I'm not trying to be insensitive at all. I'm just simply saying that sometimes we need to remember that even in the dark times of our lives, God is up to something. And God is moving in different ways as part of His divine purpose and part of His will that sometimes we cannot see and we do not know. And it doesn't have anything necessarily to do with any sin in our lives or that we're out of the will of God. It's just that God's like, well, I got this guy over here and some sick people on this island, Paul, so I need you to come over here. And so that storm was a part of just redirecting Paul for the purpose of what God wanted to do. And not every dark time in our life is because we're out of God's will or there's sin in our life. Sometimes God is using even those moments to just kind of align us with where His will is that we can't sometimes see or discern.